But Zay, we are going to move on to the last topic, and it's a bonus topic. We are going to talk about Terence Crawford. I think the last time we did this, we
Mhm.
talked about Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez is included into this conversation here. And that video is doing 2K views right now. We pushing 2K views, and it wasn't a headline; it was a bonus topic, and it went well. And obviously, there's a lot of people on my YouTube channel that's claiming for boxing content, so we might as well give them some boxing content here, and I think it's warranted. We saw Terence Crawford a couple weeks ago had a nice razor thin victory over Israel Majamov, right?
There we go.
And it's been some time, but it's like, okay, what's next for Terence Crawford? And should boxing fans support Terence Crawford's quest to land that Canelo Alvarez fight? And Zay, the mic is yours to kick us off.
Yeah, I don't think boxing fans should support Terence Crawford landing that Canelo Alvarez fight. I think they should be in support of what something I was against at one particular time, and that's him versus Boots. You want to see the talent, right? You want to see the guys, the other boxers of the world, the guys who are supposed to be coming up, the guys that's are trying to take Terence Crawford's spot. He should be the one fighting those guys, right? He should be the one dominating the division he's in, not chasing these dream fights that are not gonna happen. Canelo is not gonna fight him. Canelo is a businessman more than a boxer nowadays. He knows the headlines of what's going to happen if he does fight at Crawford. If he beats Crawford, it's because Crawford is too small. If he loses against Crawford, it's the end of his career. So there's no win-win scenario in that situation, and Canelo knows that. He's a businessman first. He has business acumen. He's going to do that forever. Terence Crawford, he just needs to fight in his division. There's guys in his division. There's guys within his weight class that are still big fights that it could be fireworks, or fights that will sell a lot if he sits in that division and allows it to come to him. I know he wants the big payday, he wants the big money because he's chasing names. And he doesn't need to chase a name. He is the name, and your fight, you're gonna sell no matter who you fight in front of you. He needs to understand that, but he's too busy looking for the biggest name to get the biggest draw. We understand that. We understand you want the most money possible, especially when Mr. Turkey himself is throwing the money. He's saying, I'll give you the bag if Canelo signs on the dotted line. But it comes down to the fact that Terence Crawford is a huge name in boxing. When he leaves, it leaves a huge stain in boxing for quite some time because they have to refine that big name once again, that marquee name. And Terence Crawford is that name. But he doesn't believe, his team doesn't believe it, that he's that name that could draw that big money, because you wouldn't be chasing Canelo if you couldn't find, if you feel like you're that big name. He's chasing Canelo left and right. Like, stop doing that. That's the same thing Spencer's doing with you. Like, you don't understand that? Like, he was like, y'all was chasing. Like, it don't make sense to continue to be chasing. Like, cut it out. Just go out there and fight. If you want to go out there and chase a big name, go fight Benavidez. And tell me about that. Go fight the Mexican monster. So you want to be going fighting and chasing big names. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see the biggest and the baddest fight. But sometimes the biggest and the baddest is not the name. It's what you're doing in that ring. It's what you perform. And that's who that's who Crawford, Canelo too, but that's what Crawford needed to go after and chase. Go chase Boots. Go chase these other guys and go fight them and go win. Go dominate. So you can leave out of here as the best guy, to ever do it. So I think that's my opinion on what boxing fans should support.
I think when you look at this question, you can look at it from two ways. I think there's a level of, okay, well, Terence Crawford has delivered boxing fans a great showing. He hasn't always had the greatest of competition in his career, and a lot of people got on him for his resume, and some of those things was out of his control. But we can never underestimate and deny that he always, for the most part, put in great performances. Prior to the Majamor fight, he had a series of, I think it was like 6 years of straight knockouts. So, it's not like that boring style of Shakur Stevenson where you're having this technical ability, but you're not, going for the gusto and trying to stop your opponent. So I always thought he has, I respected his, toolbox and what he brought to the sport. So there's a level of, okay, if this is the end of his career and Canelo is his retirement fight and he wants to obviously drive up his cash flow, the biggest fight of his career, the biggest payday of his career, then okay, go for it, right? That's one bracket. But then you look at the other one where it's like the safety thing, you're jumping up multiple weight classes. You just made 154, had a tough time against Majamov. Is that a fight that you really want to go into? And will you look good? And will that mess up your legacy in any type of way? Now, you could argue it doesn't because nobody will expect him to win that fight. But what if he gets flat lines like Amir Khan, which I don't think is going to happen, but you never know, right? So I think for me, I would lean more towards no, because I think when you look at that Majimov fight, which I always said was a prerequisite of what we could potentially see in a Canelo fight, Majimov had the more impactful punches during that fight. Majimov lost mainly due to activity. He wasn't more active than Terence, but he landed more impactful punches that night. And we saw that Terence Crawford, outside of those championship rounds where he really turned it on, he was reluctant a little bit. He didn't really throw as much because he was scared of the right hand that was going to come back. Now, if it's Canelo, you cannot fight tentative because you obviously got to win and you got to win on the cards. Now, Canelo is a bigger guy, a more powerful puncher. So I don't really think that Bud passed the eye test of that being a prerequisite for him to get the Canelo fight against Majimov, if that makes sense. Even though I still credit Terence Crawford's performance based on his ability to think and be patient. Okay. Now the physical part of it is what's driving me away from it. I
Mhm.
think you're right. I would prefer to see Boots because Boots has shown immense talent in his last fight against David Apenesian.
Mhm.
The sharp reflexes that he was able to show, the punching power, the talent offensively. Obviously, he showed some vulnerability defensively.
Mhm.
He got caught a lot of times, and Bud is the best in the game at making you pay for your mistakes.
Mhm.
But at the same time, the talent is there. And I'm old school. I like to see the passing of the torch, which is why I want Canelo and David Benavidez, because that's the young lion in David versus the guy, the established face of boxing in
Mhm.
Canelo, and they could collide and pass the torch, right? Same thing with Bud. Bud is the vet that has reached the mountaintop after the Spence fight, establishing the game, and you
Mhm.
got a guy like Boots who's trying to make a name for himself. The talent is there, but the name is not there to meet the talent. That's a golden opportunity on that stage to
Mhm.
take the baton from Bud, win or lose. So that's why I want to see that. You got Virgil Ortiz. That's another option. And we saw Virgil Ortiz explosive. He won the fight against I don't know how to pronounce his dude name, unfortunately. But he was fighting in the pocket, outside the pocket, but he got knocked down twice. Again, but and those were like tap knockdowns. But Bud,
Yeah.
once again, is a guy that knows how to make you pay for your mistakes. So I think really when you really go through these lists of names that he could fight, my God, Kenny, what up, Errol Spence? I do not want to see that again. I think Bud will send Spence to the nursing home if they fought again. Respectfully, I think Bud has shown us already what we need to see, that there's levels to this boxing stuff, and Spence is not on Bud's level.
Mhm.
Maybe that's his second best payday because still Spence has a name,
Yep.
obviously. But I think when you go through these guys, Errol rematch, Canelo, big payday fight, Virgil, that's probably the most exciting fight as far as how it will look to
Yep.
the mass appeal. That will probably be an exciting fight. You got, Virgil who's very aggressive, so that will
Mhm.
bring the demon out of Bud. So that would make for an exciting fight. I
Mhm.
think Boots will probably be the more tactical fight, but I think that would be the fight that I would prefer out of all.
Yeah, I just think Terrence. I think at this point, Terrence got to stop chasing this dude. You're not gonna fight him. I think that'll be a more better fight for Terrence Crawford fighting a guy who's up and coming, a guy who's like he's right there, beating guys left and right, and that's the main fight you want to see. You want to see the guy who's really taking over the division versus the guy who has a division. So I think it's crucial for Crawford to go and chase, not chase it, but go for that fight. I don't like I lost the appeal for Crawford and Canelo. I'm just done with it. I'm done with the
I
back and
never
forth.
really had that appeal for it, to be honest with you. I don't want to
Yeah,
see that. I
I
don't.
just I'm done with it.
Canelo, the only thing I don't like is that Canelo is making a big fuss about the weight difference, which I
Mhm.
am too. But it's like you've been fighting smaller guys forever.
Yep.
Mayweather, Charlo. I mean, the list goes on. You've been fighting smaller guys. How is Bud any different from that? You know, but me personally, I don't want to see that. And
Mhm.
like I said, I respect Bud. And like I said, he accomplished a lot. He was, you know, blackballed, you can argue, had
Mhm.
to really like grind out his boxing career to get that Errol Spence, that big payday fight an opportunity, and I understand why he would want this fight to really go out. Basically, it's a retirement fight. It's like, okay, I want to get the bag and I'm out. So I could respect that part. But I just think the weight difference is a little bit too much. And I understand that Canelo is not the same mover
Yep.
and will present the same issues from, from a movement perspective like Majimov. Obviously, he has good head movement,
Yep.
but that weight difference is a thing. And I do believe there's weight classes for a reason. So I don't think I would support Bud wanting that fight, coupled with the fact that I really want to see David Benavidez and Canelo.
Yeah, I think David Benavidez and Canelo be outstanding. It's not gonna
Even
happen
though I
though,
know
just
I'm not
because
gonna get that.
yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
get
just
that.
the unfortunate part. But I just think Crawford has options. I just think he should allow himself to be the A side, the biggest name on the card, and then ranking the money. He's put on a show. That's it. Like you want to be considered about pound for pound best boxer. You want to be called all these different things, a superstar, the box office maker. Like go out there and just put on performances left and right. The more knockouts you put on, the more great performance you put on, the more money you're gonna get. Because you're gonna be undeniable at that point. Go out there and be undeniable.
I want to go back to that comment that my guy Kenny made because I'm thinking about the comment more and more, and I'm thinking about some other stuff, in regards to that comment and how it could relate to that.
Yeah.
We have to be honest. Bud is not the pay-per-view star that he should be. He's not. The last fight did not do that great. And I believe Turkey was recruiting people to come to the fight to sell out the stadium, and I think a lot of it was mismanagement. I think Turkey didn't really understand the market. Number
Yeah.
one, Majimov was definitely a skillful fighter. Like I said, I'm in the minority. I enjoyed the fight, but
Yep.
he's not a name. And you have a guy in Bud coming off a layoff. You want to give him a name that people are going to want to buy the fight. So I think, and then you have it in LA, out of all places. I
Mm-hmm.
think Turkey didn't understand and read the market of what fans really wanted. He's just too busy putting fights together that he wants to see, that he has the funds to make, and
Yep.
not listening to what we want. And I think that's his biggest problem. And that's going to come at the detriment of Bud if he continues to align with a guy like Turkey, who
Yep.
seems to be kind of like guiding him at this stage of his career, even though he's his own boss. And I think for me, I think it goes back to the Spence topic because realistically, if you can't land the Canelo fight, the biggest fight is still Errol Spence because Errol Spence still has a big fan base, even though you dominated him in the first fight. Boots is not a big name, especially with the casual, right? He's not a big name. Virgil Ortiz is not a big name
Mm-hmm.
outside of the casual, right? Or to the casual rather. So I think it would be Errol Spence, and that's why that question, even though we saw what happened in the first fight,
Yeah.
realistically, if Bud is making bag moves, bag moves, then if it's not Canelo, do you do the Spence rematch?
I still say no. I still think I don't think you chase that Spence fight because I feel like Spence will probably be even worse, than he it was at that state. I don't even think when's the last time Spence fought? Was it that Crawford fight?
When's
So
the last
if
time he
it's
what?
the
Oh,
last
for,
time
yeah,
Spence
yeah,
fought
yeah,
was
definitely. It
so
was
if
a
he last
Crawford fight.
that was the last time he fought.
He's going to fight for Endora, if I'm not mistaken, in October. I'm not sure if that is agreed to. I've been seeing, different stuff on that.
So the thing is, like, if that was his last fight, and then now Crawford goes, all right, now we fight again. The next thing people are gonna say is Spence had rust. He wasn't active before they fought. So then that's gonna be a whole nother can of worms. I was like, all right, well, like, what do you want? He gave him the rematch. He said yes, and then he went back in with ring rust. So now what? So now what's the next fight after that? Like, it's you have to go Boots. You have to go to the guy who's been calling you out. The guy who went to LA to go out there and go like, bro, just go out there and fight him. Because at that point, yeah, Boots doesn't have the cachet of a Spence, the cachet of a Canelo, even a Fedora, but he is well respected in the boxing community. So real boxing fans know who he is. Real boxing fans, like Kenny's been talking about him for a while. He knows. He knows that real boxing fans know who these guys are. It's not that for the casual fans. This boxing era is for the boxing fans, the ones that was out here for decades watching this, from the beginning of time to now, from when they were young. The boxing fans like ourselves who were watching when we were young to now. The boxing fans that know the smaller names, but know that they could go out there and really take an opportunity when it knocks on their door. And this is an opportunity that Boots could put a performance on against Crawford, but Crawford has to show him, I'm not letting no hungry pup come in and take my food. I'm coming out here to put on a statement, to put on a show. Whoever you put in front of me is getting put down and getting knocked down. And that's why you got to put in. That's why Crawford should want to fight Boots. He should want to go in there and go in a ring with a Boots rather than the Canelo, because Canelo already achieved everything there is in boxing. He has no real hunger or desire to fight you. So, of course, he's going to say no. But
I
guys like
mean,
a Boots, he will say, yeah, let's fight, because he has something to prove. A guy like Spence, he wants to prove that he's not just going to get dominated by Terence Crawford. He has something to prove. Like Crawford is chasing fights against guys that are like reaches. It's like Kion Anthony asking LeBron James, yo, come play me one-on-one. Like, for what is it good? Like, is you're going out there reaching. So that's what it is.
yeah, I mean, look, another thing too about the turkey point that I made, having Eminem, headline your card. We
Oh,
we're
that was
not gonna sit
terrible.
here and act like this is 2003, bro.
That was terrible. I'm sorry.
Okay, like
That was
that's why I said
underperforming.
understanding the market. Like he has to be better in that area if he wants to continue to put the cards and have break even basically. You know, in regards to that point that you made, and that's why we named this question and worded this question that way, because it's about what is Bud prioritizing at this stage of his career, and I think we know the answer to that, which is the bag.
Bag talk, yes, sir.
Boots is not going to bring you the bag.
Mhm.
And one could argue if Bud dominates Boots, and like I said, we know Boots is a good fighter. So if he dominates him, that would make Bud look even better. We know that. But what is that going to do for his legacy? He would have to want to get back to the sport of boxing, keep that tradition of passing the torch alive. That's what it would do. But he would have to want to give that back. You know,
My thing is,
But then again, one more point, Zay. You
yeah.
could flip that on the contrary, because now that Canelo win looks so much better for Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
You got what I'm saying? Now that Canelo rose to stardom, that win looks so much better. So when we have these debates about Mayweather and his resume, oh, he beat Canelo.
No, absolutely. It's just this, right? If Crawford continues to chase after Canelo, like what is it? It's only gonna look bad in the pound for pound rankings anyway, right? He's gonna go down from that. You chasing this dude for what? Stop chasing him. Go out there, be King the Conqueror. Go out there and take over universes. Yo, I'm about to take out the rest of this division. Whoever is coming up is getting put down. That's it. Like it's nobody after me. It's gonna be me. And I think that's what he should be focusing on. I think more fighters should focus on just being this dominating force in the division. Like you're already at the top of the mountain. Make sure no one's coming up here. Make sure no one's climbing up. They just keep knocking them down. Make them go all the way back to square one. Be that hater. Be the ones the fans hate to see. Like he won again. This guy just keep beating up people. He's beating up people that's not ready. Peanut, like the same stuff we used to talk about Mayweather. Oh, he's fighting guys too early in their careers. He fighting guys too early in their careers. Yeah, but he fought them. He fought the talented guys. When he's going after these guys who have the credentials, these guys who have the accolades, they don't want to fight him. There's a reason. There's a reason why fighters like Luis Ortiz didn't get to fight champions early in his career. There's reasons, right? Guys are scared of him. So make Crawford go out there and just be that force. Just be that name when it's all said and done. It's like, yo, he never ducked from anybody. He actually took over divisions. His division was so scared of him that they moved away from him so they don't have to fight him. That's what the name should want to ring. Those are the kind of fights that Crawford should want to go out there and make. Guys who are scared of him. Because at this point, Canelo's ducking, he's running away. Canelo's running, his career's almost over.
Yeah, that's true. Even though my mic fell, but you know what? It's all good. I'm gonna end up the show on
Yeah.
this note. My last point to this conversation about Canelo is I think this fight, and the reason why I think Bud wants this fight, other than the bag, is that he doesn't lose if he gets this fight. Like I said, he could get flatlined like Amir Khan. Okay, got flatlined, and it still won't drastically push down the stock because it's like, okay, you jumped up. What is it? It would be like 2 weight divisions to fight Canelo now, right? Like that's what it will be. And the narrative will be that way. And guess what? You got knocked into another universe. If that was to happen, the example, I'm not saying it will, but you got the bag, and your legacy didn't really take a hit. Whereas other fights, it will present more. I won't say risk. That's not the word, but like he has more to lose, even if he wins. If that makes sense, especially if he loses, which I don't. I think Bud beats pretty much everybody that we talked about,
Yep,
not named Canelo.
agreed.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another loaded. I mean, almost 3 hours worth of content, man. Y'all gotta start paying me for this, okay,
Facts.
and loving me for this. Make sure you subscribe. That's how you show love. It's
Hmm.
by subscribing to the channel and making sure you spread the word to other people who needs to get in line with new media. Zay, it was a pleasure having you on, even though I understand it was unorthodox. You came a little late. Obviously life happens, but I'm looking forward to the next show that we do.
Absolutely, man. Have a great weekend. Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, or leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.